Hi. Welcome, everybody, to the Bitchuation Room on a Frantastic Friday after Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving and a fantastic Friday to you all. I just got a bunch of tamales delivered to me from my neighbors. So, what have you done? That was amazing, and they were very delicious. I made 2 kinds of cranberry sauce because I like cranberry sauce because I am clearly retired. I had a great it was a good Thanksgiving. It's always a little crazy when there's, like, kids around and, you're like, "I'm just trying to talk." It's like I didn't they're I love the idea that your family's calm enough to even talk politics. Like, does anyone else just have, like, kids running around and screaming at you and, like, wanting more ice cream and stuff? Like, who's got time to sit around and be mad about politics? Um, so I hope everyone, had a good one, had a real one, eating turkey. It's like, I feel like Thanksgiving the first Thanksgiving was, the very first lib thing that um, the the colonizers of this nation did, you know what I mean? Like, that was, like, the first, like, centrist Dem thing they did, it was like, "Oh, we really wanna eat with you. We're gonna we're gonna really make space for you at this table, like, 'cause, like, we know you're, like we know like, we want real representation at this Thanksgiving table. Also, we're starving, and we could really use like all of your food and teach us your ways, and like we're super, oh my god, we're not trying to co-opt your movement and slowly kill you." And then they did. And so, but I do so, like, to me that was like the first lib thing that was ever done in the Americas, because Republicans aren't doing that. I know the right wingers are like, the Republican Party was the Democrat were racist. I mean, yeah, I know. Hope you guys are good. Thank you so much for being here, for pressing play, for listening. In the future, of course, is a podcast. You can listen wherever you get your podcast to all of the episodes, but not all the episodes. If you really want to listen to all of the episodes, including Wednesday's bonus, which we talked about the post-mortem by the Harris campaign. And honestly, I was very charitable to them, although I don't think they deserve to ever be hired again. And I do think that they owe me money. They owe all of us money, really. Not that I donated. I'm just saying, like, I would like some of that, the massive amounts of money that they all got. The consultant class, truly making out like bandits, and justifying their loss. But if you want my take on all that, check out Wednesday's bonus show by becoming a member on YouTube or Twitch, or my preferred method, patreon.com/bitchuation room is where you go. I'm slowly trying to build the free Francesca movement. Um, there's many things I could comment on today, but I think you all know what I mean by what I want to be free from. So support me and my efforts to be free. And I know, look, we're all trying to. There's a lot of people who want us to, give them money and donate to their Substacks, and some of those people are great, and I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. I don't have a Substack, but in these holiday times with a child where daycare is out and whatnot, I go really dark. Like, I don't post on social media. I don't have a moment enough to like take a photo, that isn't of my child. And so, it's nice to be able to come here and do a little stream, a little pod for all y'all. We got the chitty over here, and I would have my husband Matt Lieb join me. However, someone's got to make sure the baby doesn't cry herself into death, because she's fighting naps, like a good 2-year-old should. But she's too smart. She's too smart. I don't know. I'm, every time you're like, "Oh, you should get rid of all your plastics because there's like PFAs and stuff." I'm like, "No, I need more plastics in my child's diet because she's too smart." Like, I think maybe eating paint chips would be good for my future because she can't she n you think intelligence gets you anywhere? Intelligence doesn't get you anywhere. Nowhere. Look at Marjorie Greene. Look at Kamala Harris. Which one's more intelligent? Who's gonna be jobless come January? Ever not think about that? What I'm saying is it doesn't pay to be a smart woman in this world. I'm obviously joking. Don't take me literally at all. I'm a stand-up comedian. What did you know? And I have some upcoming shows actually. I have a show tonight virtually. If you're listening to this in the future, oops. And I have a show tomorrow night. And a couple other announcements actually for some local shows here in LA. So stay tuned for that. Check my Instagram if you want to see where I'm at. There is, some people had normal Thanksgivings. Some people ate food. They watched the beginning of Paddington like I did. They ate pie. They cooked a little bit. They traveled. They did normal things that normal humans do. And then there's people like this family here who is not normal. This family it needs help. And here they are. If you're listening here, let me unmute this. If you are listening as a podcast, this is a family that is gathered around for Thanksgiving and is doing the Trump floss dance move, which I don't know how else to describe this one other than like, I need a new diaper. Like I mean, and he probably does. So this is them, and someone is filming them going all the way around as maybe 12 or 15 family members imitate Trump. And I believe, what song is playing again? It's probably going to get this demonetized, so I'll mute it in a sec. It's YMCA, of course. So I'm not going to play it all. But here they are. They're all dancing. They are all white. You guessed it. Oh, there's Jesus. There's Mary and Joseph. Oh boy. She is way too many. They are a few cups. So, okay, I just want to give props because like a lot of them are kind of not doing it right. But there's one dude who actually like does have the like full fists, and that's what it's supposed to look like. This woman is not good. So now they're moving into the next move, and this next move they call the golf swing. So now they are all pretending to swing a golf club like their Lord and Savior Donald Trump. And like, look, I am sure that the Third Reich was also cringe. I mean, look at their outfits, look at the hair. But I never, are they just Heiling Hitler? No, they're not. I just never imagined that white supremacy would be so obnoxious, and I know I'm being unfair. And then look, we cannot demonize Trump voters. We've got to reach across the aisle and figure what happened, what went wrong. Donald Trump did not do better than in 2016. He did not do better in 2020. He just barely did better than Kamala Harris. So, but look, these khaki ass little mock turtleneck motherfuckers, I am like in their gray house, just like with no love. What is it? Family yoga? Yikes. On TikTok. I need something different. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're going to, here's my thing about, I go back and forth, obviously, as a radical, as someone who believes in political revolution. I believe in staying in this country and fighting for it. I believe in, like wresting it from the racists and the people and the richies and the billionaires. There are times when I am very tempted to give up on this nation. I do it all the time. And I think about it, you guys know I talk about it. I'm like, Spain looks good. You know what I'm saying? Everybody loves jamon. And then you realize just how corny the people who are in power are and how corny their supporters are. Like half of these people were at the Capitol on Jan 6th. Half of these people are business owners. Half of these people got probably PPP loans for those businesses. Half of these people are landlords. Half of these people sell supplements. Half of these people have workers who they underpay. They work for them. You know what I'm saying? Like the vibes are so cringe. that it makes you be like, look, I would surrender this country to someone with like taste. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the fact that not only the MAGA movement is a supremacist and racist movement run by billionaires, but is also incredibly cringe, is just it's 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 on like it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to me. I think I saw someone say something like, Elon Musk is like a superhero villain, except without the looks, the charm, the sense of humor, and like the, whatever, like the allure. Like he's basically the most tactless, corny ass villain, and you just can't surrender. You can't surrender the country anyway, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is how I feel also about capitalism. It's like, if if what we are living through felt so entrenched and so normalized and like, oh, like if it felt as normal as the weather or as the sun rising, and no, you're like, you know what? We're never going to be able to change anything. I would give it all up. Where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to find my little corner. I'm going to crochet my life away or whatever. No disrespect to crocheting, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to like, I'm going to delete myself. I'm going to get into like home decor or whatever the hell, as if I can afford any home decor. But you know what I mean? But when you realize that it really is a small group of people fucking all of us over by exploitation, and it is just capitalism, and that is the main problem, it's like you can't give it, it's very difficult to unsee that. And it makes me mad. Ergo, my ass gotta stay and fight. You know what I'm saying? My ass gotta stay and fight. Here's another exhibit cringe. Everyone has a normal Thanksgiving except JD Vance, who posted an image. And again, this is very visual heavy, but if you're listening to me, it'll get text heavy. So don't worry. We're going to talk about Mexico. We're going to talk about Texas being part of the mass deportation plans. This is what JD Vance, though, posted on Thanksgiving. It just like give me another Kevin Spacey video. Like give me another like creepy ass predator Kevin Spacey being like just like carving a turkey quietly. I know that's more of a Christmas thing, but like I would take 10 more Kevin Spacey videos than JD Vance, who is posting this meme of kind of like an old 50s style Thanksgiving, like an old Thanksgiving, and instead of the turkey, it's JD Vance in the head of JD Vance on a wife's body with like the apron on, like straight trad wife vibes, delivering the like what is like the electoral map, which again is all red, mostly red, because apparently land can vote in the GOP mind. Basically delivering the electoral map instead of the turkey, and Donald Trump is behind giving his little like, I just farted face. And it's so clearly someone made this, and it's so deeply weird. And also, I just want to like point out how creepy the hand on this is. You guys seeing this? The dad hand is truly disgusting. It's like a ugh. Ugh. I don't even know what that looks like, a turkey gobble, like a little the under chin. But anyway, what the fuck is this, guys? Like what are we witnessing here? Is he currently being, entered by Trump? Like what is happening? He has delivered the country. Here you go, sweetie. And what's so funny about this too is that, to my earlier point about this nation being handed over to a bunch of self-interested billionaires, is that there's nothing more emblematic than that, than like carving up a turkey. Like, here you go. I'm going to carve up this turkey for me and all my billionaire friends. I'm going to carve up this country for you. But this is what JD Vance thinks makes him look cool. And again, it's been said, and I'll say it again, for a party and a political movement that prides itself in alphas, boy, oh boy, are they sure willing to be beta bottoms for their big boy Trump. They are so willing to just drop trow, bend. Like, this is the most, like, how many times do we have to say it before you're like, yeah, no, okay. Do you need to be entered right now by Donald Trump? Because, like, Tucker Carlson is straight up like, sometimes daddy needs to come home and spank you. Sometimes you just gotta put on a little apron with nothing underneath, and Donald Trump comes slithering home, and he just needs to get his, like, greasy little mitts all over you and then mash his mangled penis into your butt. Like, I'm sorry. Apologize. But, like, and I know I'm being disrespectful of gay sex, because gay sex is actually, like, a lot hotter than whatever the hell this is. Um, but this is upsetting. This is deeply upsetting. Thank you. They still call me Ricky. That was Canadian dollars, but I'll take it. I don't know what we're doing anymore. And lastly, to proof that your Thanksgiving, no matter how dysfunctional, no matter how much your family members who don't understand, or who are blaming woke, or who are blaming, whatever it is, they're blaming trans athletes, whatever they're blaming for the Kamala Harris loss, the transgender surgeries for illegal aliens, nothing could be as unhinged as what Donald Trump actually himself was doing, which was being here he was at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, I don't know if unhinged, but just, like, so unfun. Like, here he is at Mar-a-Lago with Elon Musk, and again, there is music that will be taken down because it's look at him. So there they are, and they're in their ballroom, and you're just like, there is something perpetually, like, Miss Havisham about, like, having a ballroom to just constantly have endless galas at. Like, like, there is something so, I am in a pretty gown, waiting for my dead husband to come home, and waiting for the migrants to be taken away, and, like, as, like, cobwebs gather in my chandeliers about the Mar-a-Lago milieu, right? There's something so desperate about being like, and I understand it's Thanksgiving, and boy, oh boy, does this look familial. I mean, everyone's there. There's Trump, there's best son, better than real son, Elon Musk. There's Elon's racist ass mom. I think isn't that her? Yeah, that definitely looks like her. I see her little gray hair. Isn't she the one who was like, the Democrats they're flipping something about them flipping votes or something? So there she is, sort of Miss Emerald Mine. Like, she's definitely, like, strangled someone with her bare hands. She like believes in, like, slavery should come back. Obviously the firstborn, Elon Musk. Ooh, lastborn, Barron Trump, who could end this at any moment. Like, the moment we activate Barron, he just, like, speaking of, use your barren hands and just, like, it's done. It's over. It's over. The minute you decide it's over, no one's gonna hold you responsible. No, you're like, it's like, you know, we're we're not gonna do you like Lenny from Mice and Men, but you know what I'm saying? Use your strength for good. Um, so there he is. So Barron, and of course there's Melania. At least we think, but she could also be Kimberly Guilfoyle, but it could also be Melania, like stand-in Melania, but it looks like Melania. And then a bunch of people who are either trying to actively blackmail Trump, trying to I have nail polish on my finger. I just, you know what? Sometimes we can't. Actively blackmail Trump, uh trying to actively pay for an administration position, or are, like, working on behalf of a foreign government. Like, there's, like, 10 to like, there's minimum 25 honey traps in this audience, in the people at Mar-a-Lago, at the gala, just waiting around, Or are they extras? Do they, like, backfill? Is this like the Oscars, when people, like, get up and then a bunch of Mar-a-Lago extras get rolled in. I mean, Trump is every accusation is a confession. He loves talking about central casting, and we all know his initial campaign announcement back in 2016 was full of literal people who were like actors, just extras. So they're singing YMCA, and Trump got real excited. He bangs on the table. Look at him. Bop, 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 bop. It's time to stay at the. This is not gay. It's time to stay at the. Definitely, I'm straight. Then you enter me and you mash your mango dick. I'm sorry. It's fun to stay at the. I swear to God. This is what I'm saying. This is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I know maybe this is what we deserve. Maybe this is what we've always been. But I believe there are people in this country who are not corny, who are actually fearless and cool. Cool. Can we be? But again, this is the death of cool. Like, for a party that's so desperate to be cool, like, there's also a little bit of like anti-cool. Don't you feel like they in their minds are like, well, cool is the establishment. Like, knowing how to have a conversation, that's for normies. Are you kidding me? Laughter, tenderness, love. Oh boy. Anyway, so all to say, guys, I hope you've had a great Thanksgiving, and I know it was better than whatever the hell happened at Mar-a-Lago, which ended with some sort of eyes wide shut type situation. But like the honey traps were like all going after the other honey traps, and they were like the Russian versus like, the Syrian versus the like Azerbaijani honey traps, and they were all sort of like, what are we doing? Who's paying who? I don't know. Are you being paid? I'm not being paid. Like, anyone who wasn't being paid to be at the Mar-a-Lago Thanksgiving really fucked up. Psycho Salad, thank you so much for donating for me being a Dem strategist 2028. I mean, I didn't know. I don't want to be a Dem strategist. Actually, I just want, yes, I'll take the money. I'll take the money for sure. Thank you, Brad League, and thank you, Tracy Ava. Free Francesca Fund. I appreciate you. Mark Gogan, member for 6 months on YouTube. Happy to have spent my birthday with the Frantifa. Is this your birthday? Happy damn birthday. And thank you, Corinne Biao. Appreciate you. Let's get into a few different things. I would like to talk about Mexico, because apparently Claudia Sheinbaum this week kind of did a little bit of a reversal. So there were some tough words, obviously, after Donald Trump announced that imports from Mexico would be facing a I swear to God, a 25% tariff, which obviously, if you know anything about tariffs, will not hit consumers. Not at all. In fact, this is the one Black Friday where I'm like, obviously boycott and definitely boycott Amazon, but get what you need. Like, make sure you get like your NutriBullet or your, car part, or your like whatever you need, like whatever piece of electronic, get a new computer. You might not have the money, but get it. Get it now, because we don't know what's going to be far more expensive in a year. People are already losing their bonuses because apparently bosses are, number one, looking for any excuse to not give bonuses, but also number two, saying, well, we're bracing for Trump's tariffs, so we can't give you a bonus this year. So like, straight up. And by the way, if you guys have been checking, the stock market has been going down. Like, since Donald Trump was elected, stock market's like, ooh, tariffs, no good. So anyway, all to say, treat yourself and donate to the people of Gaza. Those are the only two things I think you should do. You treat yourself, donate to the people of Gaza, and become a patron here, patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. But so Claudia Sheinbaum, in response to this, like, the tariffs that were being floated, she had, pretty strong words, and some folks were mentioning in it. And I wanted to just read what she said. This is all weird. This is from November 26th. She said, "Dear President-elect Donald Trump, I'm writing you regarding your statement on Monday, the 25th, concerning migration, fentanyl trafficking, and tariffs. You may not be aware that Mexico has developed a comprehensive policy to assist migrants from different parts of the world who cross our territory en route to the southern border of the United States." Yeah, you might not be aware that the U.S. government funds that program to keep those migrants in Mexico. As a result, according to our data from your country's Customs and Border Protection, encounters at the Mexico-United States border have decreased by 75% between December 2023 and November 2024. Moreover, half of those who arrive do so through a legally scheduled appointment under the United States' CBP-1 program. Thanks, Biden. For these reasons, migrant caravans no longer arrive at the border. Even so, it is clear we must work together to create a new labor mobility model that is necessary for your country, as well as address the root causes that compel families to leave their homes out of necessity. Even if a small percentage of what the United States allocates to war were instead dedicated to building peace and fostering development, it would address the underlying causes of human mobility. So, in other words, migration. So she's saying, she starts off with kind of the tariff situation, but really focusing on migration. Crossings are down, and we should work together so that people can come into the country to work legally. And also, if you dedicated some portion of the money that you dedicate to going after cartels and the drug war and whatever else it is, right? Training torturers in the Americas. If you directed that money to actual like root causes and building peace, it would address why people move in the first place, narco violence, etc. On another note, and for humanitarian reasons, Mexico has consistently expressed its willingness to help prevent the fentanyl epidemic in the United States from continuing. This is, after all, a public health and consumption problem within your society. So far this year, Mexican armed forces and prosecutors have seized dozens of various types of drugs, 10,340 firearms, and have detained 15,640 individuals for violence related to drug trafficking. Furthermore, the Mexican Congress is in the process of approving a constitutional reform to classify the production, distribution, and commercialization of fentanyl and other synthetic drugs as a serious crime without bail. However, it is publicly known that the chemical precursors used to produce this and other synthetic drugs are illegally entering Canada, the United States, and Mexico from Asian countries. This underscores the urgent need for international collaboration. You must also be aware of the illegal trafficking of firearms into my country from the United States. So I feel like the Asian countries is a little bit of a like, I mean, it is true, but it's also like, don't tell Trump Asian countries. Don't give them another reason to go to war with China. It's just like Iran, China, Mexico, these are three places we will actively be in conflict with, in my view, in the next 4 years, but definitely in the next, I said in a year with Iran. And given the people he's appointed, Marco Rubio and the like, it's going to happen. But the Asian countries also a little bit of a like, look over there, look into China. But she talks about what we've talked about on this show with, journalists like Yohan Grillo, who write about the amount of, if you guys go to the border, one thing that is like abundantly clear is how many, and sort of like overwhelming, is how many firearm stores there are. There are so many gun stores on the border. And you're like, who is this? What's going on? No, it's for trafficking into Mexico and Central America. That is the reason there are gun stores. She says 70% of the illegal weapons seized from criminals in Mexico come from your country. We do not produce these weapons, nor do we consume synthetic drugs. Tragically, it is in our country that lives are lost to violence resulting from meeting the drug demand in yours. Yes, we export the guns and the death, and we import the drugs. President Trump, migration and drug consumption in the United States cannot be addressed through threats or tariffs. What is needed is cooperation and mutual understanding to tackle these significant challenges. For every tariff, there will be a response in kind until we put at risk our shared enterprises. Yes, shared. For instance, among Mexico's main exporters to the United States are General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford Motor Company, which arrived in Mexico 80 years ago. Why impose a tariff that would jeopardize them? Such a measure would be unacceptable and would lead to inflation and job losses in both the United States and Mexico. Well, not if Sean Fain can unionize them first and organize them. I am convinced that North America's economic strength lies in maintaining our trade partnership. This allows us to remain competitive against other economic blocs. For this reason, I believe that dialogue is the best path to understanding peace, prosperity, and for our nations. So I hope our teams can meet soon to continue building joint solutions. So there's a little threat. There's a lot of cooperation. This is very, I'm sorry, Don't be triggered by what I'm about to say. This is very first female president energy. I'm just going to say it. I just feel like there is like a sense of rising above the BS, still willing to work with Trump. Obviously, she has to. I mean, Mexico needs the United States as the United States needs them. And here she is speaking sort of more specifically about all this. She's explaining it, and I'll do the translation out loud. She says, if just a fraction of the resources the United States allocated.
Si un porcentaje de lo que Estados Unidos destina a la guerra
allocated to
se
war,
dedica a la construcción de la paz y al desarrollo, se estará atendiendo de fondo la movilidad de las personas.
Exactly what she said.
Por otro lado, y por razones humanitarias, siempre hemos manifestado la disposición de México para evitar que siga la epidemia de fentanilo.
We've always tried to work in Mexico to avoid the fentanyl epidemic in the United States.
Estados Unidos, que por lo demás es un problema de consumo.
So this is basically what she said. It's worth noting, however, this is fundamentally a question of consumption. So she's like, she's got a PowerPoint here. She's presenting it all. She talks about the weapons. Yeah. So sorry, I should have just played this. This is actually exactly what she just said, what I just read, but we didn't get to see her cool ponytail and hear her beautiful accent. Now, since all that broke, apparently, according to the Washington Post, Donald Trump and Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico have since spoken. Mexico's president has excellent talk with Trump, dismisses tariff threat. Girl, don't pack it in so quick. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum and President-elect Donald Trump agreed in a phone call that their countries will have a good relationship, she said Thursday, and she dismissed his threat to impose a 25% tariff on Mexico's exports if it didn't stop the flow of migrants and fentanyl to the U.S. There will not be a potential for tariff war, Sheinbaum told reporters in her daily news conference. Sheinbaum and Trump have given dramatically different versions of the call. Trump said on his Truth Social platform that Sheinbaum had agreed to, quote, stop migration through Mexico, which would mean, quote, effectively closing our southern border immediately. I mean, they're already doing that. They're literally already doing that. That's what she just said. That's what you know. It's been your policy. It's been Biden's policy. It's called the Remain in Mexico policy. That prompted a response late Wednesday from Sheinbaum, who said Mexico's stance is not to close borders, but to build bridges. The contradictory accounts reflected the uncertainty around the relationship between the United States and its top trading partner as Trump prepares to take office. Sheinbaum said Thursday that her government would continue policies launched under pressure from the Biden administration that have disrupted the flow of U.S.-bound migrants. Apprehensions at the U.S. border have plunged about 75% since December. Isn't that amazing? That's just amazing. Like, you gotta really be a loser to not be able to like hang your hat on 75% of border crossings being down and losing the election. It just like, and I don't believe in running to the right on the border, but it's like, you can't even explain that you guys have been doing this. You don't even have like a good counter narrative on this. And that's why it's not enough to say, it's not enough because people don't believe you. The right is never going to believe you. Centrists are never going to believe you. Gen Xers with misplaced anger, like Bill Maher, is never going to believe you, and many others. Many others. No one's going to believe that Democrats actually are doing Republican policies better than Republicans. They're never going to fucking believe you. All you're doing is giving them wins, which is why you need a countervailing narrative. Francesca says this all the time that I get even sick of talking to myself about it. You need to actually stand up for migrants. You need a whole new paradigm for people to think about things, people to think about work, for people to think about migration. You need to, like, you truly need something else to grasp on, because the whole we're clamping down on the border and we're going to be chasing Haitian migrants on horseback, no matter how much it looks like slavery, that's been done. You've done it and you still lost. So what are you doing? What are you doing? And this is the thing, is like, I've been at this crossroads with the Democratic Party, and I still am, because unless they are willing to change, to not keep pandering to the center, unless they realize that that not only is bad policy, but it's bad politics, then I don't know what we're doing anymore. We're placing our faith in people who are destined to lose and determined to lose and take all the wrong lessons from when they lose, except they do take their bag. They always take the money. So I'm just like, and there's part of me that's like, everyone just sort of like, I feel like we're a little bit, we're in this like, it's not the Spider-Man meme, Spider-Man meme, but there is some sort of like detente happening between centrists, corporatists, and like leftists to be like, who's starting another party? Like, who is starting it? Because I would really love for the Cheneys and the Harrises and the Clintons to all get together and start a new party. Get you Andrew Yang. Just go. Just be your centrist self. Just call it the third way. See if fucking anybody but Michael Bloomberg votes for you, right? If Michael Bloomberg doesn't want to be the head of said party. Like, so I'm just like what are we doing here? And that's why I do think the postmortems on the 2024 election as the 2016 election, because it really is a continuation of that failure. But I think the postmortems are important. But anyway, I do love this energy. Both leaders said the conversation was positive. Trump called it wonderful. She's wonderful. She really is. She's an 8. She's just a perfect 8, maybe even a 9 with her hair down. Sheinbaum said we agreed there will be a good relationship, but it was unclear whether the tariff threat had subsided. Sheinbaum said they didn't broach the subject. Okay, so let's do a little fact checking, Washington Post. You just said Sheinbaum said there won't be a tariff war. And so she did say there will not be a potential tariff war, but then in her conversation with Trump, they didn't talk about tariffs. Sounds like somebody had their own little Thanksgiving. Just sort of avoiding the hard stuff, are we? Right. So then the rest we know. By Scheinbaum's account, Trump appeared to lack basic knowledge about current conditions in Mexico. Stop it. Okay. That's where I draw the line. That's I get it now. I get about like this is the woke mob trying to tell you basic current conditions of Mexico, a country that is your biggest trading partner. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is just some like DEI foreign policy here. Stop it. She says he asked about fentanyl use, which is far lower than the United States. He expressed concern about a migrant caravan that formed recently in southern Mexico, while video images of such processions alarmed Americans in 2018 during Trump's presidency. No similar caravan has reached the United States since then. She assured him that this one wouldn't either, she said. Oh, God, I'm getting so many ads. Trump shocked governments and businesses Monday when he said he would... Asked about the leader's different characterizations of the call, Sheinbaum told reporters, everyone has their own manner of communicating. We will never shut down the border. Yeah, except Trump has a very particular way of not communicating. So I'm sure he did not let her talk, and it was just like ships passing in the night. Mexico sends 80% of its exports to the United States. Trump's tariffs, if enacted, could tip the country into recession, economists say. Pfft, woke economists. But Mexico is a critical U.S. trade partner, too. Many American corporations, from raspberry vendors, don't you fuck with my raspberries. Can I just say, my family has a vested interest in avocados and berries. Anyone who's got a child knows. Your berry index is very, very high. The line item in your family budget goes through the roof. And my daughter loves avocados. She loves guacamole, and she calls it guacamoney, which honestly, it is guacamoney because it's very expensive. So this is like my family will be destroyed. You know, some families will be ripped apart. Mine should be maybe the least of your concerns, but it's up there, it's around there. Not only would tariffs on Mexican exports raise prices for American consumers, economists say they will also hit U.S. companies that manufacture in Mexico or rely on the country for parts or raw materials. The economy minister, Marcelo Ebrard, said Trump's threatened tariffs could result in 400,000 Americans losing their jobs. You know, here's the problem. Like, and this is why we need a global labor movement, and why the global justice movement that you guys remember started in 1999 in the Battle of Seattle. We just passed an anniversary of it, actually, fighting the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, and basically the efforts to allow businesses to, you know, go to the lowest common denominator workforce and move factories abroad, move where there were lower, again, not just labor standards, but environmental standards. And it was a moment when the labor movement, the environmental rights movement were coming together, the indigenous rights movement was coming together because of what globalization has meant. And this is like, we don't even talk about globalization because it's so natural. I mean, like, I don't believe in, you know, xenophobic protectionism, or, all the ways that being anti-China is literally just kind of a racist project. But I do believe in labor standards, and I do believe in labor standards for every country. And I do believe that each multinational corporation that has taken advantage of workforces around the world, like made hand over fist money, taken advantage of free trade policies, they are the ones that should be held accountable. And so when I say, like, if Sean Fain can get to Stellantis and the plants in Mexico first, I'm not playing. Like, I don't think those plants need to come back to the United States, but I do think that they should be unionized, right? And I don't think we need to be like, look, all the merch from this show at bitchuationroom.com, all the Frantifa merch is union made. I pride myself in that. Spared no expense. It's actually very expensive. That's why it's $35 for a t-shirt instead of 25, but still, it's a good t-shirt. It's very good. But like, I have no problems. Like, I don't think it's like wrong to like buy stuff from China. But I just think there are ways that we can support labor rights, environmental rights, while not being xenophobic, isolationist, America first nationalists about it, right? And it's going to require a global effort. And the thing is like, if Trump really wanted to be like an economic populist, he could say, like, he could offer, incentives for companies to move back to the States, or incentives for companies to, like, reinvest in America. I mean, this is this entire thing with like the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Giving incentives for corporations to invest in renewables and yada yada, invest in green jobs, manufacturing, whatever. And it was just it was a halfway measure. Meanwhile, Trump is like, no, I'm going to give tariffs to everybody, slap all these tariffs, except for the people who come to Mar-a-Lago to my galas, except for the galas. I have another, hang on, I think I just saw this recently. Another little item, speaking of carve-outs. Apparently, Vivek Ramaswamy raised the idea of getting rid of SpaceX subsidies, and that caused a little bit of a kerfuffle. It's just I need to find it, but very, very funny to me. Francesca saying economic populist should be a channel points redeem. Yes, it should be economic populist. I swear to God, the word's gonna stop meaning something if certain people keep saying it. Populism's not the same on the right as on the left. Populism also gave us Hitler, but we're not supposed to talk about Hitler because we have to wait until he becomes Hitler. What do I get for saying Hitler? So silly. I'm so utterly tired of everything right now. Anyway, I'll find that story maybe for Tuesday. Apparently Vivek was like, yeah, let's cut $2 trillion from the budget, starting with not giving SpaceX subsidies. Like, oh nobody. Oh nobody. You're just supposed to be there. You are the brown billionaire that everyone else copies their homework off of. So anyway, that was an interesting that was that when it comes to Mexico. Meanwhile, in true villain land, where Governor Greg Abbott, man who God tried to smite, definitely tried to smite and did not work. Apparently, Republican leaders in Texas are gearing up in a big way for Trump's mass deportation campaign. Real excited. Very, very excited. They want Texas to be the model and epicenter as the incoming administration cracks down on immigration. That's just before, you know what I think? I think that Joe Rogan should also interview those migrants. I think that on their way into the detention camps run by, whoever is in Mar-a-Lago right now trying to get a government contract to run private detention centers, I think that they should also be like, let's set up a Rogan studio in the detention center so he can actually talk to some real people for once instead of aggrieved comedians. While Donald Trump's opponents denounce the president-elect's planned mass deportations and border crackdown, this state's Republican leaders are vying to make Texas a launching pad. Governor Greg Abbott and other top officials have spent the past 4 years positioning themselves as Biden administration's greatest antagonists and heirs to the border enforcement campaign begun by the last Trump administration. Despite having no constitutional authority on immigration enforcement, they have used tools of the state to dramatically escalate anti-immigrant policies and legislation locally while steering a similar narrative nationally. You remember how Texas's actions under Biden and along the border are like totally gone rogue. We cover this. They've been completely going rogue. Again, there's no constitutional authority to do some of the things that they've been doing, putting whatever buoys with spikes in the Rio Grande and all this shit. But again, CBP is massively overfunded. I need everyone to look at my nail polish again. CBP is massively overfunded. They have they hire fucking anybody. People are bored. They're not doing shit. And a lot of them are psychos. Like a lot of them are like white nationalists. A lot of them they're like, all right, I'll stop running my own vigilante group and I'll join the Customs and Border Patrol, let's see. So the point is this, it's like we're in this time where Donald Trump is like, well, how can let's look into, what was it? Joni Ernst is like, let's cut funding to California's high-speed rail and that will save us $1 trillion. Babe. It doesn't cost $1 trillion to do a fucking railroad. And certainly if you are threatening that, and I don't know how much money is coming from the federal government. And if it wish it is, I'm like, get on it. But it's just amazing that they're not even in power and they're already threatening blue states with cutting their funding. Texas has been going rogue for years. And at no point has Biden been like, hey guys, so you got to comply with the law and you don't have jurisdiction over the border. Okay. You just don't. Whatever you're doing with your own troop or your own police and your own sheriffs, you're fucking with stuff over, and that's our business. And there's been no threat. There's been absolutely no threat from the Biden administration. Now, I'm not saying you withhold fucking FEMA funding. I think that's cruel. But can you just make some sort of threat? Can you do something? Among their moves, pumping $11 billion into Abbott's Operation Lone Star border enforcement, busing migrants to distant states, and targeting organizations that advocate for them. Meanwhile, pregnant women are dying. All marked a clear departure from the compassionate conservatism of a Texas GOP. Oh, that's so fun. I love that we're still Are they not compassionate anymore? No, they relish in being cruel. Of a Texas GOP that once granted in-state tuition to undocumented students and resettled thousands of refugees. How far we've fallen. And Trump's imminent return to the White House, Trump's imminent return to the White House gives the state powerful leverage. The leadership of Texas is trying to create a model for the federal government that is exceptionally cruel to immigrants, said Daniel Hatum, senior supervising attorney for the Texas Civil Rights Project. Texas is more than willing to let the Trump administration co-opt its institutions for immigration enforcement. That was the core of Abbott's message during a joint appearance Tuesday with Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, at an event held at the state military base on the border in Eagle Pass. The small city, about 145 miles west of San Antonio, became the front line in last year's governor's battle with the federal government over the invasion, as he called it, by record number of migrants. There's a change afoot as we speak right now. I cannot with these ads. I'm just going to go. I cannot. There's a change afoot as we speak right now, the governor told scores of Texas National Guard troops and law enforcement officers assembled for the Thanksgiving meal. Oh, good. It was for Thanksgiving. Oh, that's adorable. What wild game are you having? Oh, we're having Nicaraguan. Just joshing you. State officials are already conferring with Trump's transition deputies about border security. He noted on actions, planning, preparations, and schematics. Since the November 5th election, state leaders have suggested they could reduce funding for border security, especially if the federal government takes over. On Tuesday, however, Abbott and Homan talked about working together to ramp up, not scale back. Once Trump takes office, Abbott said, we're going to be doing more and faster than anything that's ever been done to regain control of our border, restore order in our communities, and also identify, locate, and deport criminals in the United States of America who have come across the border. Now, again, let's all remember, say it with me. They define criminals as anyone, finish the sentence, who crossed the border. So this whole we're going to find the actual criminals and deport them, or the traffickers, or the, drug dealers, or the human smugglers. No, that's all bullshit. That's complete bullshit. What they mean by criminals is literally anyone that crossed the border. Well, so that's already in their mind a criminal act. And something that Kamala Harris, once upon a time, before she ran completely to the right, which is it's been very fun, to witness, said should be decriminalized. Like, it shouldn't be a felony. It should be like a civil offense or whatnot. It should be I don't know whatever, a misdemeanor. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It shouldn't be like a felony to cross the border. And she believes in decriminalizing border crossings, because by virtue of crossing the border doesn't mean you've suddenly become a rapist. It doesn't mean you've become a drug dealer. So again, there is no distinction. There's no distinction, like, just operationally, there's no distinction between a criminal and a non-criminal, or a documented or undocumented. As we talked about with Erica Andiola the other day, by virtue of living in the same household with someone who might be undocumented, again, undocumented, i.e. a criminal, because it's the same, living in this country illegally, according to the right, is a criminal act. You get swept up anyway. It doesn't matter if you have your green card, or it doesn't matter if you're, a citizen. You could get swept up. Now, you might not be held, you might not be deported, or you might be deported. So these that's when people say mixed status families. Mixed status families mean there are people in the household who have citizenship, people who do not, people who are there undocumented, and people who are not. And there is no distinction. You think fucking Stephen Miller and his henchmen give a shit about the distinction? They don't care about whether you're a criminal or not, and they don't care whether you've got status or not. It's just about numbers. It's about numbers. And look, a bunch of people are licking their chops to try and detain and make a buck off of those numbers. Homan, Trump's former acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, praised Operation Lone Star and its, quote, unprecedented success in Texas. The state's approach, he said, is one that could be replicated as the next administration pursues mass deportations. This is a model we can take across the country. Whether that administration will start reimbursing Texas wasn't addressed. Abbott has requested $2.88 billion for more special border operations when the legislature reconvenes in January. Homan acknowledged the hefty price tag. Yeah, don't tell Elon and Vivek about that. Looks like Elon will have to give up his SpaceX subsidies. No? Oh, you're gonna just privatize Medicare and Medicaid? Okay, cool. Oh, no, you're gonna privatize the VA? Okay, cool. Cool, great. No, that's great. It's a shame taxpayers of Texas had to spend billions of dollars to do the job the Biden administration failed to do. Incoming border czar Tom Homan served okay, I guess he served a Thanksgiving meal. Shut the fuck up. Oh boy, oh boy. There's more, right? Oh god. This is just so ridiculous. It's not just recent border crossings, it's people who've come in the past 4 years, and a lot of them are in Texas. This is executive director of the Conservative Center for Immigration Studies. Oh, cool. So 4 years, maybe 6 years, maybe 8 years, maybe 12 years. For Mexican and South American migrants rounded up elsewhere in the country, South Texas is closer to where you're sending people back to. Then there's the political factor. Texas is the sole border state with a Republican governor and Republicans controlling the legislature and every major state office. When it comes to ensuring Trump's enforcement efforts are not blocked locally, having cooperative state can matter. During past buildups seen in family separations of the last Trump administration or family detentions under President Barack Obama, federal officials in Texas were able to quickly erect massive facilities for temporary holding and processing people. They encountered little resistance. It's a lot easier to unlock and dust off facilities that are already there. Oh yeah, dust them off. Dust them off. All the ones that have been closed down for human rights violations, that's great. Dust them off. All the places that we saw separated children with their aluminum blankets, whatever the hell, and their maggot infested food or whatever they were being served, whatever sandwich they were being given every 5 days. Yeah, dust that off. The people who were convicted or accused of, remember there was like rampant child sexual abuse? Yeah, dust that off. Dust off the old model. There's one thing we know how to do in this country, it's incarcerate people. Anyway, so now they want to get paid back for busing a bunch of migrants elsewhere. I don't feel like Mexico gets paid, but they keep the migrants. Earlier this year, Abbott issued an executive order directing public hospitals to question patients about their immigration status, plus track and report the cost of treating those in the country illegally. Yeah, that's disgusting. And so now your hospitals are not just snitching on you for maybe having an abortion, right? Which ultimately amounts to criminalizing you. Should you have a miscarriage or should you just be having an obstetric emergency and need assistance? But now it's like, snitch if you think someone's undocumented. It's just, and on top of that, we all know that Ken Paxton, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, also was tracking the periods of undocumented girls. What? The next legislative session is set to consider measures that would direct law enforcement to fingerprint undocumented children and track them in a database, potentially restricting their access to public schools despite a long-standing legal precedent. No, that's great. That's great. No, that's beautiful. That's great. Yep. You should never take anything the right says about children or the rights of children seriously. I mean, not that you did, but if you did, never again. My brother is a public school teacher, and he worked with immigrants and new arrivals. He did incredible work with them, and they, in California, have rights to public education. And they've already been through so much. The journey, sometimes losing your family, sometimes being sent without your family, just at the hope, at the glimmer that you could have a life that escapes the rampant violence or economic destitution of your home. And not only do you need massive, a mental, psychological assistance, but you also need education. You're a child. You need education, and you're a child in a new country. You need education, language education. You need math education. You need all kinds of education. And so this is like, oh, no. We're going to tag them like they're animals and make sure that they don't get an education. No, that's great. Oh, where are they going to go? I don't know. I mean, they could, you know where they're going to end up? They're going to end up being trafficked. That's what's going to happen. And they will either be trafficked into places that will, and this already exists, places like meat processing centers that need, hands to do disgusting, early morning labor, or they'll be trafficked for sex. Straight up. I'm not making it. I mean, we know this. What happens to vulnerable children? Documented, undocumented, doesn't matter who they are. They get trafficked. It's like that is what happens. So like this is fucking disgusting that you're not going to offer them any kind of support. Anyway, I mean, like we need so much support. There need to be Garcia Growal, who holds a monthly vigil for migrants who die crossing the border, and said Texas officials have figured out how to monetize pain by using her community as their laboratory. Oof. Cruelty is the point, she said, and they are making money off of it. Yeah. The point is this. If you can't beat the cartels who are threatening the children and the families of in El Salvador or Central America, wherever else, Venezuela is its own issue. But if you can't if you can't beat them, you join them. You try to beat them at their own game. You are going to say, no, it's crueler over here. So, and it's all deterrence. This is deterrence strategy that does not work. And we all know, speaking of crime, that anyone who says that there is such thing as migrant crime is, I'm sorry, you're a supremacist. You're a racist. You are a racist because migrants commit less crime than citizens. Documented people commit more crime in the United States than undocumented people. Yes, by even obviously adjusting for how many there are, migrant crime is less. The rate at which migrants commit any kind of violent crime is less. Now, if you say that by virtue of living and existing in here, they are criminals, well, then that changes the game. And that is the game. And so just like when it comes to trans rights, just like when it comes to immigrants, you cannot parse it. Just like when it comes to abortion rights. Oh, we're going to protect IVF, but everything else is good. No, okay, well, there's some exceptions for rape and incest. It's the same shit. You don't give an inch because that is not the point. Their point is to go after the whole enchilada. They want to criminalize it all. They don't care about trans issues are a slippery slope just to rescind and go back to a time when you couldn't have same-sex marriage, which is all just a point to go back to when you couldn't have no-fault divorce, which they're now, the right is going after. It's the same slippery slope. It does not matter. It does not matter what issue we're talking about. And the only way to fight it is with your own fucking plan. And that plan has to be inclusive of all people, but it also can't be shirking your responsibilities to these communities. It has to you have to stand up for them. You have to tell us undocumented people commit less crime than documented people. I need to see that ad. That's the ad I want to see. You know what ad I want to see? I also want to see the ad that talks about who's the woman who was killed on the San Francisco Pier. San Francisco Pier, woman was killed, and in 2016, Donald Trump could not get her name out of his mouth. It was over and over and over and over again. Guess what happened? We all know it. If you didn't know what happened, what happened? An undocumented migrant shot a white woman in San Francisco and killed her. And that became the headline, right? Headline all over the place. Well, what happened? He found a gun. This guy found a gun I think it was wrapped in a t-shirt. He found this gun. It literally went off in his hands, ricocheted on the sidewalk, and killed a passerby. That's what happened. Now, I'm not saying that every instance is that, amount of a mistake or an accident, but these are the stories that get elevated to a national level and no one is pushing back on it. And if the left doesn't push back on it, then who will? Rachel Atwood, thank you so much for your super chats and your great comments as always. Eco-fascism is threatening the U.S., not migration. I mean, what do we mean by eco-fascism? The fossil fuel industry? They're definitely eco-fascists. But I feel like anyway, uh-oh, guys. Suddenly the For You page delivers with Benny paid Benny paid by Putin Johnson. AOC is considering a run for president, according to The Hill. Of course she is. She should. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Like, The Hill's got a scoop? I don't think so. Tom Trask, never trust the shill. Dude, I've never trusted the Hill. You guys know my whole story. I rejected a job with the Hill when under its old owner who was friends with Donald Trump. And he was beating as soon when Crystal Ball, I've told this story before, but when Crystal Ball and Sagar left the Hill, they beat down my door. We're like, please, 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 please be there. And I was like, here's my stipulation. I don't hit Democrats less hard than I hit Republicans. Republicans are a party of fascists. Republicans are Christian nationalists. They are the bigger threat to democracy. I hate Democrats and their corporatism, and I will talk about them, but I will not ever lie and say that they are less of a threat than Republicans. I just won't lie. And they never called me again. I was like, I will need some editorial oversight, and they never called me again. Bill Maher is back at being the worst. So here's my little okay Boo Maher segment for a Frantastic Friday. Thank you so much for all of your support, for your super chats, for your comments, you can tip the show on Venmo, TBR-live. You can tip the show on Cash App, TBR Live. You can also become a patron, my preferred method of support, patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. So many perks, access to the AMAs, guest suggestions, discounts on the American Prospect. Okay, so Bill Maher had Stephen A. Smith on his Club Random, where like each boomer tries to drink as much whiskey or Hennessy in this case as possible. That actually looks good. I like Hennessy. I'll just be honest with you. I prefer it. I'm more of a brandy girl. It's very expensive, but okay, I digress. Here he is talking to Stephen A. Smith, who's a ESPN sports commentator, right? Mostly talks about sports. And it's funny because Stephen Smith was like talking about Donald Trump and like warning about Trump. He was on Sean Hannity warning about Trump and saying like, how do you think Trump's going to act now that he's got this like retribution, vengeful war path? Like he's going to investigate the investigators, he's going to be an angrier Trump, a more vengeful Trump. And it was a really good point. But here he is on Club Random. And this headline is about what Bill Maher gets to say at the end, apparently, which is like a racist joke that I didn't even understand was racist. You guys know the moment where you're like, someone's clearly trying to make a racist joke, but you didn't even know it's like such a bad joke. You don't even get that it's racist. Anyway, here he is. But first they have to like throw down about how elitist they both are and how like, is anyone really going to lose quality of life under Trump?
And of course, it's after the election, but this is Hollywood. And, I love Hollywood. I really do. I love living here and I love show business. Mm-hmm. And
I don't like the taxes.
Don't take it the wrong way, but the people here, they're loaded with talent. Mm-hmm. They're not loaded with smartest person in the room.
Right.
Intelligence? Is that what you mean to say? Smartest person? You mean intelligence? They're not loaded. They're loaded with talent. You love it here, but you don't get invited nowhere. Nobody likes you. That's why you had to create your own club in your basement and call it Club Random because your ass doesn't get invited places. But anyway, here he is bemoaning Hollywood because they're not loaded with smartest person in the room, which is what a smart person would say.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're complete idiots. Some, and there's some very smart people in the business, some brilliant people.
Yeah.
But
And some are very good people.
mostly they're what they got was talent.
Okay.
So they're talking about the election. Of course, they all want to talk to me because they're like, "Oh, that kid actually knows shit."
Yes, you do. You do. You do, Bill.
That kid knows shit.
So they're like, of course, they're all upset about Trump as if
that kid knows shit. When did anyone ever say that kid knows shit about Bill Maher? Never in his whole life was anyone like, oh, hey, that kid knows something. They might have said like, hey, that kid's a son of a bitch. That kid is going places because he's a conniving a-hole. That kid is no talent, but he is cutthroat and he will make it work. That kid knows shit. He's not like Bill Maher doesn't have his job because he's smart. He has his job because he's smarmy and obnoxious and a contrarian, and that he sides with right wingers, and he represents perfectly the boomer / Gen X / whatever happened to Bill Clinton, like fragility that cannot cope with anything changing, with taste changing, with young people existing. That's why he's still and he platforms a bunch of right wingers, and I will ultimately say this a million times over. Right wing thought, yes, even fascistic thought, even violent anti-trans a-holes, anti-vax, just like playing totally fast and loose with the law and laws of nature / science. All that is way more safe for mainstream news than anyone who talks about socialism, than anyone who talks about equity, than anyone who talks about political revolution, because that's not safe. That's just not safe. And so that's why Bill Maher is still on the air. But no one's ever said that kid, he knows something. But here he is bemoaning all of his Hollywood friends that he doesn't have.
Of course, they're all upset about Trump as if their life is going to change. Like, let me tell you, for the last year, people have been coming up to me at the nicest restaurants in Hollywood because that's the only place I go because I'm a baller. You know this, Stephen A. Okay.
No, it's not because you're a baller, my guy. It's because you don't actually, nobody wants to cook for you. Nobody wants to invite, like, build a home with you, my guy. Nobody wants to, have you taste their sauce and you guys cuddle and watch a good movie. You go out because you think you're a baller and you want to be seen by TikTok influencer millionaires who whatever, do choreographed dances for a living, and they're like, who's that old guy? Oh, that's Bill Maher. You know what I mean? Even Chitty knows that, right? Chitty, right? Okay. Chitty doesn't want to perform. Chitty's like, you're gonna have to give me a snack before I do that for you. But because I'm a baller. This is so this is terrible.
So, and it's like,
your life's not gonna you're rich. I'm rich. Let's call the whole thing off. You're not gonna get deported. What are you, Mexican? Ew.
Oh, Bill, what are we going to do if Trump wins? I'm like, what are you going to do? Go back and finish your $900 dinner for 4 people.
Right.
That's what you're going to do.
Yes.
And your taxes are probably going to go down like they did the first time. And everything else, you can give a shit about.
They don't realize they make it hard on people like yourself and me who will vote liberal. But we're sensible. We're not extreme. We're not extreme.
That's why the election was lost.
They make it hard for us. Everything's so, guys. I feel like all this ba-ba-ba about the working class, all the ba-ba-ba about unions and Amazon workers who are currently breaking their backs for these 2 dudes fucking, Christmas presents that they didn't think about until the last minute. And, all the people, I just feel like in this whole postmortem of the election, we don't think about the millionaires. Because let's be real, neither of these men, sadly, wrongly have $1 billion. Everyone's all on about the billionaires, but nobody really thinks about the multimillionaires. And I just feel like Stephen A. Smith and Bill Maher being multimillionaires, like, spare a thought. Like, I just feel like the Democratic Party is just like losing its base of multimillionaires, And I'm like, what? Like, I just feel like every time a multimillionaire wants to talk about issues that matter to them, the police are always called and their encampments are, swept up and brutalized, and like people are always running vehicles into the multimillionaires protests. And I just feel like their concerns are not front and center, and we're losing the multimillionaire base. Granted, we're not growing the multimillionaire base because that's how millionaireship works. However, if we've lost the multimillionaires, fucking vote Republican. I don't fucking care. This is my whole thing with this. Like, this motherfucker, that motherfucker, other motherfuckers who tell you what to think on mainstream news, who get multi-million-dollar contracts, fucking vote Republican. We don't need you. Or again, start a new party. I don't give a shit. Don't throw it in people's faces that they're gonna lose you. You've been lost, my dude. Just go. Just go vote. Live your truth. Live your truth. Vote Republican. Live your truth. Nobody needs you on their side. Least of all Democrats, progressives, the majority of Americans who are struggling paycheck to paycheck. Nobody needs you, dude. Nobody needs you. Who is this for? Who listens to this podcast? Fucking nobody listens to this podcast. Like, it's so funny to me that you think if you do listen to a podcast, like, if you listen to this, you're gonna one day, you're gonna be there. You're just gonna be, yeah. You know who he has on who's like not one of them is the Haktua girl, because he thinks she's hot.
Woke. Now don't get me wrong.
Sweetheart,
Extreme.
that's
That's
why the election was lost.
Woke. Now now don't get me wrong.
Sweetheart,
Inflation, immigration, of course, but that woke culture, they took the shit too far.
You gotta watch.
The woke culture, guys. It's the woke culture, and I just feel like those of you who would like a minimum wage raise, those of you who would like bonuses when you deserve them, those of you who would like healthcare and for not to be incredibly exorbitant, who would like to, just like get an x-ray that doesn't cost you $500, those of you who would like to pay less than $1,000 for your healthcare every fucking month, you guys are woke. It's just mostly like, you're just mostly woke. Like, you've taken this too far. You've taken this too far because you have pronouns. You have pronouns and I don't know them.
Watch my show. I know you don't get a chance to see it always. You have to see it Friday because
past Friday?
No, this coming.
Oh, this coming Friday. Okay.
Because my end piece is why I'm mad at the Democrats for just what you're talking about.
I should stay for the damn show,
but
rather than.
Oh yes, Stephen, you should stay for the damn show. As if you haven't seen Bill Maher scream about woke for years now.
And flying out, I should stay. I was planning on leaving.
Yeah,
Friday.
Watch it in
I should
person.
come to the damn show just to watch. Just to watch it.
Awesome.
Just to watch it.
You can heckle it.
Absolutely.
You can yell at the screen.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Now Trump's in president.
How about
now Trump's president. I can make that joke.
Very rude, very nasty question. You didn't even say hello.
I couldn't make that joke under Biden. Now I can make that joke.
Damn right.
All right. So here.
Wait. Okay. So he's saying I couldn't make that joke under Biden. Now I can make the joke. Let's try to find the joke.
You would love that.
Just to
That'd
watch
be
it.
Awesome.
Just to watch it.
You can heckle it.
Absolutely.
You can yell at the screen.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Now Trump's in president.
How about
now Trump's president. I can make that joke.
Very rude, very nasty question. You didn't even say hello.
I couldn't make that joke under Biden. Now I can make that joke.
Damn right.
All right. So here's the.
I couldn't make that joke under Biden. Now I can make that. So the joke he's laughing at, the joke, of course, because Bill Maher laughs at his own jokes, is that he's saying you should come to the show. You can yell at the screen, which if he were to go to the show live, why would he be yelling at the screen? But then I was like, again, when you don't know why something is racist, and I was like, Matt, what what does this mean? And of course, Matt, because he's a massive racist. No, but I was like, Matt, what does it mean? Yell at the screen. He was like, I don't know. Oh, does he mean like talking in a movie theater? Like the stereotype that Black people like talk to in the movies and like yell at the screen in a movie theater? Like, oh, that's what it is. That's the joke that somehow was a joke that he says that now he wasn't able to make. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a perfect little microcosm for what centrist Democrats, corporatist Democrats, and rich people think that they are not allowed to do by the woke culture. They are fine. They are economically beautiful and perfect. It's that he's now jokingly, I'm not saying it's not a joke. I'm not saying him saying like, I couldn't make that joke under Trump. I'm not saying that's not a joke. That is a joke, but every joke has a grain of truth. And so that ultimately is what it is. He's mad, low key mad that he can't make a bad but racist joke about Black people yelling at a screen because of Biden and the woke culture. And now he can. So ultimately, he's actually kind of happy that Trump is president because his bad joke that not even Stephen A. Smith caught works. Like Stephen's trying to like yes and him, but he's like not even saying it's not even in a way that makes sense. He did a Trump impression, but it like wasn't clear. Like it like you don't know this is it. Just say the N-word. If you want to say the N-word, just say the N-word. Just say the N-word and let us all off the hook. You know what I'm saying? But own it. Like own the fact that you're a racist. And own the fact that you feel oppressed by the inability to make a racist joke. So pathetic. So fucking pathetic. Anyway. Maybe we'll talk about the DNC chair on Tuesday. This has been quite a... All right, my cat's freaking out. This has been quite a Frantastic Friday. Thank you guys so much for being here. Teacher Lori G says, I voted for Harris, but thought the celebrities' endorsements were a mistake. Yeah, I think actually that Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith are kind of that perfect example of why celebrity endorsements are a mistake, because these are wildly out of touch people. And I think that there's something we need to understand about celebritydom. Wasn't quite broken in 2016, but it was. It did break in 2016 as Trump had no celebrity endorsements, right? And Kamala got, hot sauce in my bag and all this stuff. And Clinton got all that. And it didn't work because we were starting to enter the age of real authenticity. Like, it's very clear when you're authentic and when you're not authentic. And celebrities do not help with your authenticity. And in a time of massive income inequality, they do seem incredibly out of touch with the average person. And finally, there was a psychic break that happened under COVID. Why? We know there was a psychic break because I sort of jokingly said this, like, didn't we all see the Imagine video with IDF soldier? What is her name? Oh my God, I can't remember the actress's name from Superwoman. Like singing, a bunch of celebrities singing Imagine during COVID while we're all like living in our like studio apartments and can't go see anybody and are losing money every single day. And they're like, I'm not actually on a job right now, so I'm pretty good. And I'm just going to film this in like the poorest corner of my home. Gal Gadot. Thank you, Terrence. Like celebrities dead. Remember when Madonna was like, now we're all the same. Like we're all the same in the same boat, and like, it's like, no, we're not in the same boat. You were a billionaire actually, or whatever. And we are not. So no, we're not experiencing COVID the same way. Some of us are being called essential workers while we're being, our lives are being put on the line for people to go shop at Walmart. Like this is nothing about this is the same. So celebrity was even further broken by COVID. So I totally agree with you, teacher Lori. Totally agree. Thank you so much for all of your support, you guys. Again, patreon.com/Bitchuation Room and or tip the show and or, just give it 5 stars on all the things. I will see you guys on Tuesday. We have a great show. Yeah, I'm like, who's on? We have a great show. Don't worry about it. You have a great weekend. You take care of yourself. You do you. You don't be weird. Nothing you could do could be weirder than what Trump and his cringy ass posse have already been done. So you're fine. Fight the power. Fuck the patriarchy. Free Palestine. Don't just bitch about it. Be about it. Love y'all. Bye-bye.